Hi folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. Yeah, this is part 2 of me testing the new Preston off-box pole support system. As you can see, this is the beastie here. Not the usual sort of spray bar or bump bar. Excuse me. Yeah, basically a rod rest for poles. I did the last video, as I probably just mentioned. This is part 2. The last video was sort of a quick look at it and also how to get it set up on my box. And word of warning, get this set up right first of all, and you shouldn't have any major problems after that. It took me a few minutes to get myself sorted out, but I've got there in the end. And today is going to be seeing the thing in action, see what happens, see if it's versatile to be able to move up and down, left and right, whatever. So as you can see, I've actually got my pole set up at 13 meters today, which is unusual for me. I've actually got a 14 meter pole, but times I used that, yeah, many long years ago. Normally I'd be fishing at 9 or 11 meters and I'd be fishing with a spray bar or another pole support there. But really, this just looks like an easy way to do it. And I haven't actually started yet. All I've done, I've left the pole support bar set up as I thought it was, and as you can see, I'm pushing down and it's sitting out there quite nicely. Maybe it needs a bit more adjustment, and I've actually just got a plummet on at the moment because that was me just finishing plumbing the depth. So what we're going to be doing, as I say, is fishing long pole. And as I mentioned in the last video, this pole support system is designed not for the professional anglers out there who, match anglers who can hold a pole at 16 meters all day long. This is for those of us who are somewhat older, maybe a little bit less capable, things like backache, tendinitis, arthritis, just old and stiff like me, and that certainly applies to me. It's been a long time since I held a pole properly, and in fact, just for those of you who may be looking at this and brand new into this sort of thing, when you're holding a pole, the idea, if you're holding a long pole, is to sit kind of like this and then rest it, I'll try and avoid that, rest it across your knees and then press down with your forearm there. But as I mentioned in the last video again, this is fine, but you are kind of hunched over this way a little bit, and when you're old and stiff like me, that just doesn't work. So the idea of just literally just putting it on there and holding with one hand is kind of appealing. I really don't know how popular these things are. I've only seen odd videos on it, including the promo video. Anyway, we're going to give it a go today. As I say, I've just plumbed up. I've got no idea exactly what the depth is. Let me have a quick look at that. I've fished here so many times before, but it's probably 3 feet, but we're in the middle of a drought, would you believe? So what have we got? Yeah, I'd say that's probably 3 feet or so, which is fine. I've got a 0.4 gram float. Excuse me, tickle in my throat. I've got a strong bulk and one dropper, and that's all it is. I'm fishing slightly on the bottom, maybe a couple of inches. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed with a pole pot. So let's find a pole pot. That one looks favourite. Take that off. Now, part of the idea of this pole, of course, is that you should be able to feed by hand, as in a catapult. I'm not going to do that today because I literally need to get very small amounts of feed in. Literally looking at 2 or 3 bits of pellets, 2 or 3 bits of corn, and a little tiny piece of hemp. Fishing in here hasn't been all that good of late. We had the floods last year and it kind of died off, but I did fish here a few weeks ago and there are some fairly small fish around. Not tiny, they're sort of 4 to 6 ounce range, and whether those are this year's stock or not, I don't know. But anyway, got myself sorted out. As you can see, I've actually got this sorted out so that the arm here doesn't interfere with my bait tray. Now I have a bait tray on both sides. Again, you can probably see that. A lot of people wouldn't have a bait tray here, and I'm also left-handed. So it does work for left-handed or right-handed people, and I can avoid the bait tray. A little bit of faffing around, and bear in mind that I also have 25mm legs on mine. So as I mentioned in the last video, I've had to make some inserts for it because they don't mention on their website or in any of the tackle shops that you need 25mm inserts because they only come with 30. So I made mine with a 3D printer. Okay, let's get some glasses on so we can see what on earth I'm doing. I'm assuming that my float's probably got enough shot on it. Just a quick strong bulk is nothing, is it? It's just a bulk and one dropper just for now. I'll put this out and we'll see how we go. I really would suggest, first of all, if you haven't seen the original video, watch that first so you can get the ins and outs of how to set this up. Right, got a marker over there. Put the bait in. There we go, and that's it. And I think I may need to do some slight adjustment from here. Well, the float seems to be sitting right. I think that needs to be a little bit further over, so I'm just going to lift that arm there and just push it that way a little bit. Then I can lock it into my body. Might need to go a little bit higher. So I'm just going to move that up a little bit. Yeah, that seems okay for now. Pretty solid, pretty sort of firm, no sort of issues with that. Well, let's see if we get a bite. I better put my hat on. I'm going to get a cup of tea while I'm waiting for this to do its job. A couple of other bits, back in a sec. Okay, all set up again. Let's get back out there. It'll take a little while for the fish to start to feed, I'm sure. Very often takes up to sort of 40 minutes or so. Fishing to a stump out in the middle out there, so that's okay. Let's lift this up. It's actually quite good. Well, so far anyway. I can sit upright. I'm just literally pretty much resting my bar. A little bit of pressure from my forearm down there, but if I rest my hand on it like that, it actually pretty much just balances nicely. It is slightly across and in front of me. I don't think that'll get in the way of the keep net, sorry, the landing net, because I'll be using my right hand. Remember, I'm left-handed. So yeah, so far it's pretty comfortable, and we've also got a left to right wind. I'm not going to have a left and a right swim today, as I sometimes do. Well, that was quick, wasn't it? And that was pretty easy to get off the rest and use. Not a big fish. I think it's probably one of those ones, as I said, that seems to have turned up this year, probably in the spawning. I will net it. Got to be a bit careful. I don't know if you can see it, but just down in front of me here, there's a zoom camera, which I'm using to zoom in onto the pole tip and onto the float. So hopefully you can see the action as it transpires. But lovely sort of fish, aren't they? Absolutely pristine. Never been caught. Well, first chuck. It ain't rocket science, is it? Okay, what we'll do, I'll put a tiny little bit of bait in again. Find in this place, if you put too much in, and literally when I say too much, it's more than sort of 6 to 8 pieces at a time, they actually disappear. What I probably will do today is, if I need to, chase them a bit further out and go to the 14 metres if the bites slow down. We'll see how we go. I'm not having any issues with it getting in the way at the moment. But again, if you're putting it out like that, there's no reason why you can't do it that way. So again, it takes the strain off the arm, so never thought of that before. And just ship it out. And then, oh, let me just put some bait in. There we go. That's it. Make sure I'm in shot. Should be. We'll lay this in. Oh, a bit of a bite going on, and away we go again. And again, that was really easy to pick up. I'm assuming that's partly because I haven't had to be straining myself to hold on to the whole, oh dear, smaller and smaller, hold on to the weight of the whole pole. Lovely little fish though, aren't they? And they're giving me bites, which is the main thing. Let's get back out there. Hopefully you can see this is pretty smooth going so far. So again, I'll put this in the rest. It's coming off the pole rollers now at the back. And literally, look, I can do that. And get the bait in, which is just there. The only time you're really putting any strain on is when you just lift it up like that. Strain on your back or your arms, that is. I am quite pleased that literally I'm just sort of resting my arm on here. Now if you're a bit smaller than me or a bit lighter than me, you may not necessarily be able to quite do this, but if you put the other hand across like this, then actually in my case at 13 meters just does balance it out quite nicely. Everyone's going to be different, of course, so you'll have to organise this for yourself and just play about with it. So this wind's just getting a little bit stronger now. It's not too bad at all, but you've got the uprights on the end of the pole support there, which is EVA, which is designed to protect the walls of your pole from snapping. People obviously naturally concerned that if you've got all this weight on that fulcrum point there, you might end up with broken poles, but that's why they've designed it that way with EVA, and it's flat. As I say, that upright also stops the pole from going off to the side. I'm getting quite a lot of gusts now, and it's actually holding very steady. Quite surprised. I certainly couldn't hold it this steady with my hands. I may need to just adjust slightly because my float's moving fractionally with the current, and I'm trying to stay in exactly the same spot and lined up. But now I may need to move this because the actual support on the right there, the upright, isn't quite in the right place. So what we'll do is I'll lift that, move that to about there, and that hopefully, once I lock it off, it's more or less right. It might need a little bit more adjustment, but that was fairly effortless. You see the pole blowing around in the wind now, but it's not moving this. It's actually just the tip sections that's really sort of wobbling around a bit. And feeding wise, as you can see, I'm feeding with a pole pot because I want it to be really accurate today. But if you have your catapult, you can just rest your arm on there, your forearm on, pouch in your hand, catapult, and away you go. That's it. So again, good benefit out of that. And I suppose if you're fishing long pole and shallow fishing where you're needing to spray bait in all the time, this is actually quite good. I have to admit, when I first took this out of the box and I had some issues, oh, there we go. I'll come back to that in a second once I've got this one in. I'm using a 14 to 16 slick elastic, I think. Oh, pulled out. Wasn't very big. Oh, a little bit twisted up. There we go. Yeah, when I first got this, as I mentioned in the previous video, my big beef with it was that it came with 30mm inserts. Now, it doesn't say on any of the websites that it comes with 30mm inserts, and as I have 25mm legs, because this is a homemade box, virtually everything I make is, sorry, I have is homemade, by the way. Because this is a homemade box, it has 25mm legs. Now if they'd said that it has 30mm inserts only, I'd have ordered some 25mm, which would have cost me probably £6 to £8 for the things. And then because I have to do it online, because I live down here in Australia now, postage, so anything up to sort of 12 to 14 pounds just for that, and also the aggravation of having to wait again. So that sort of started off on a bad note. And also this sliding bar here, it's quite stiff to move. Now you're presumably only going to have to do that once until you've got it set up like I have here, and that's it. So can't complain too much about that, but if you do have arthritis, that's going to be something you probably want to set up at home first of all, and maybe even get someone to help you push it down if you've really got bad arthritis. But again, it's something that you do at the start and then you shouldn't have to do again by the look of things. Something I should mention is that this isn't a commercial. There are no commercials where I live. This is Den's Pond, which is at the bottom of Den Street. Just public pond, anybody can fish it, but only Den does really. Get the occasional other person down. But as I say, it's not a commercial. So, as I say, you have to be very careful on the feeding, but also I've had those almost 4 fish in the first sort of 10 or 15 minutes. And that itself can be a bit of a problem because you can actually put them off quite badly. So I know I said I probably wasn't going to do this to start off with, but I'm going to have a left and a right swim, and I'm going to alternate feeding on it. And that means I'm going to have to move this support around to accommodate, and that'll be a good test because obviously if I've got to keep moving it, it needs to be something which you can cope with easily, as opposed to having all kinds of problems with it. Now, I wouldn't actually consider using this pole rest at probably anything less than sort of 7 meters, and probably even at that I probably wouldn't. I think for me this is really sort of, I don't know, 8-9 meters plus, that kind of thing. Maybe a slightly bigger fish this time, not much. Got to be careful of that camera down there, don't bash it with me landing net. So yeah, obviously designed for long pole anyway, but what's long pole to some people isn't necessarily that long to others. For me, as I say, probably 9 meters would probably be what I would start fishing it at. Oh, come on, fish. Slightly bigger, obviously, but as I say, I mean, this will be 5 fish in the space of not very long, I don't know, 10-15 minutes, and it can kill the swim here. So as soon as we got this one in, I know the bottom's the same all the way across because I've fished here a lot over the years. Come on, fish. Wow, bigger than I first thought, this one. Not much, but fighting, woof. So I won't need to mess around with plumbing the depth. I'm already a couple of inches over depth, and that'll be fine. If it was a match I probably would, but it's not. So, come on. Oh, they don't half fight here. There we go. Didn't really get in the way. The camera's getting in the way more than anything else. What have we got here? Oh, it's probably a 3 or 4 pounder, this one. A bit bigger than I first thought. Nicely hooked in the lip. Yeah, 3-ish anyway. Coming back. Come on, don't hit your camera. The worst thing is when you get drops of water all over the lens. Okay, so this time I'm gonna get some bait in to the pot. Again, just the 3 pieces of corn, a little bit of these pellets which are flavoured with turmeric, tiny little piece of, or bits of hemp seed, and let's pick another area. Just bear with me a sec while I think about it. Right, if I'm fishing to that one, okay, there's another tree over there which we can fish to. So, I very nearly put it down there then because I'm so used to doing that, guys. Right, I'm going to need to move this then. So let's pull that this way. Oh yeah. Right, get the bait in. Just put that in there like that. Put the float in. Now that's probably a good couple of meters away. I have to admit, so far I'm finding this okay. I did think it was a bit of a gimmick at first. I didn't think it would work, but yeah. And I'm not sponsored by anybody. As you can probably tell from my little moans about the fact that it only comes with 30mm inserts and they don't tell us about it. If I decide I don't like it for any reason, I'll tell you. But so far, not bad. And again, shipping out wise, you can take the pressure off your back. Just get the bait in. It's only this last little bit where you have to lift up. So for anybody with issues, all those ones I mentioned, like I've got, well, half of which I've got anyway, this could well be something you could use. Cost is $49.99 at the moment in the shops in the UK. Plus, of course, if you have to buy any inserts. So, of course, not just if they're 25mm round inserts like mine, you may, if you've got one of the older boxes, have squares, 23mm, whatever they are. But just buy the ones to fit. Whoops, did that? Just buy the ones to fit. Yep. A little bit longer, that one, to get the first bite, but hey, is it any bigger? Can you fight it by doing that if you're really impaired in any way? Well, I suppose, yeah, you could do, couldn't you? You could use it as a fulcrum to save you. We'll go back across to the right hand swim now and we'll alternate between them. And so far, just lifting that clip up to move it seems quite reasonable to me. Come on. Got past the smaller ones by the look of it. There we go. It's also good for actually just dropping your top twos into. Normally I'd probably put it under my backside. Yeah, another 3-pounder or so. As I say, then we'll go back to the original one. Just shift these shots a bit. They've got caught in the net and moved. They're not shots, they're stops. So keeping the feeding tight, a very small amount. As I said, does seem to be the way to go here. Excuse me. Right, now, do I move that beforehand? Yeah, let's try that. And probably about like that, I think. I'll clip that back down in a second once I've got it right. Bit of a left to right wind going on now. That's not bad actually, is it? It's, oops, wind's blowing it. Get that in. Whoops, see that blowing? Oh. Right, I suppose this would be the trick here. If you haven't locked it down and it's blowing, you could end up pulling it out of the way. So yeah, yeah, I seem to be back in exactly the right position. Pretty easy actually. did pour a cup of tea out a few minutes ago. Oh. I'll get to drink this tea yet. Well, 6-8 ounces I suppose. Absolutely pristine. These fish have never ever seen bait or a hook before. And they were certainly still there when I went in. A broken one there. Whether I need to be sort of swapping and changing every fish between the left and the right swims, don't know yet. And that could become a bit of a chore, not a pain, just a chore, because you've got to keep moving it. But you would get used to the positions, and you could even mark the positions in a little white marker or something on there, so you know exactly where on this bar you need to be. And a little bit of methylated spirits afterwards to get it off. So let's just show you that marking system, shall we? This is the pen I'm using. It's a Sharpie Paint Medium, if you can't already see that on there. And I've just literally put a mark on there, and when I moved the pole around, I actually got it to there, and then it's on that marker there, so left and right. So if I put this back to where it was, again, a little bit of experimentation, put that to there, saves me having to mess about. Now, whoops, what I can do is, let's get some bait in the pot. Tiny little amounts as always. And what I can do this time is I can feed one line and then move it and go and fish another without having to estimate or guess. So this will be my right hand line. Again, using that just to keep things steady because there's a bit of a breeze. There we go. Get to the marker and put the bait in. Now I want to move off that line while I've got that bait in, so just lift that up a little bit, pull this back, a little bit stiff but it gets there. So it's right on that line, and now I can move across and I can fish in exactly the correct place where I've been feeding for the left hand line. And as I say, at the end I'll just use some of this methylated spirits, which is what I put in a bottle. I again bought that from the local DIY store, and I'll just rub the marks off. Get it off. Let's go back to what I was doing originally, which is shipping out like this. Yeah. I did actually pull my back a few weeks ago, and it's one of the reasons I bought this. It does actually seem to have cleared up mostly now, so I'm pleased about that. But yeah, I don't regret buying this at all. Yay, look, you could do that. Well, learning stuff all the time then. This one's a bit bigger. He's off out there somewhere. And again, let's just see what it's like. This is really not for likes of me, but maybe if you got someone that's really impaired somehow physically, this might actually, oops, this might actually mean that they can fish a lot further out than they would originally be able to. And I'm thinking, I don't know, would a wheelchair work? Oh no, of course it wouldn't, because you need to have the stumps. So, okay, cancel that one then. But yeah, certainly for anyone that can sit on a box, even if you do have issues, this will work. As I say, I haven't actually seen anyone raving about it. Maybe I think it's all a gimmick, I don't know. I must admit I wasn't sure at the start. But I've been at this now for probably half an hour, and as you've seen, I've had quite a few fish already. This could well be one of the bigger ones. And yeah, I'm finding it's actually quite a viable product. It's taking more elastic than the other ones did. Well, actually, any second now, burn nuts. Well, that's quite a good fish, isn't it? Yes, that is a good fish. Oh, cold on my legs. Nicely in the corner of its mouth. Let's just chuck that in there. It's a lovely thick fish. Very wide across the shoulders. He's not the longest fish around, but he's very, very thick, look. Not bad at all. Come on, off you go. Well, the only thing I haven't tested so far, I think, is the getting out to 14 metres. I'm not going to do much more in the way of catching fish just at the moment. I think I'm just going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to put a bait on and just see. Now, I'm obviously way past the baited area, but I'm going to go out to 14 metres just to see. So there we go, that's using the rest again, and it's easy. And certainly again, if it's wet and your hands stick on the pole, this might be a good way to do this. Right, this is 14 metres. I might have to lift it up a little bit. Where am I? Yeah, we're just sort of dragging on the water a little. I do find that as a pole heavy, nothing to do with the pole rest this time. So that would need to just come up. Gotta be careful you don't let it drop down, but yeah, probably that much I'm thinking. I should have probably adjusted this just a fraction before I went in. Yeah, it still needs a little bit of adjustment, so what I'll do, I'll take the pressure off there. There we go. And yeah, that's it. So that isn't too bad at all. So I could easily fish at 14 metres if I wanted to. So final thing then, what's it like for shipping in? Again, using the pole rest. Well, I'm actually finding that was twisting a little bit there, but it stopped on the upright. So that's okay. And certainly for shipping in and even fighting a fish, you could do that even at 14 metres. I'll break down a couple of times this time. And whoops, missed it then. There we go. So, verdict then. Well, it's a plus from me. As I've said a couple of times, I was quite surprised that this worked so well. Had a few issues right at the very start on the setup, but as I said, once you've got those ironed out and it's down to your own box and getting it suited, then no issues at all. In terms of steadiness, very much so, very steady. Probably in a wind, this holds it better than I could if I was holding it in my two hands. Adjustment wise, left, right, up and down, again, once you've got it set up, not bad at all, like that. If you're going to be swapping between swims like I am, as I say, a little bit of a chore, but nothing to do with this. It's just the fact that you have to adjust it because you're going left and right. But in all other respects, I think it's actually quite a winner. As I say, I haven't seen many videos on it, so I don't know how popular it is in the UK, but it's going to be popular with me from now on. Anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it, folks. If you did, as always, give me a click on the like button. The YouTube algorithm seems to like that. And if you want to subscribe, that's even better. Anyway, see you next time. Bye for now.